Welcome to another movie plot. It begins with two siblings traveling home for spring break while trying to make out the words in vanity plates. Darius takes an unfamiliar highway as his sister Trish is trying to postpone talking to their parents about her recent breakup. After they overtake an RV on vacation, they begin arguing and miss seeing it veer sharply off the road and into a ditch. It's followed by a rusty old Chevy truck that begins beeping and tailgating dangerously close, so Darry lets it pass. Trish suddenly remembers the story of a couple who disappeared on the same stretch of Highway 23 years earlier and their bodies never recovered. Darry corrects her that it was only the girl's head that was missing and that this highway spans the entire stretch of the country, but Trish still says that when she first heard the story she thought that she would die on this road. After the pair take a quick pit stop, Trish notices that Darry's taking a bag of laundry home for their mother to do and notes how selfish he is. As they cross an old church, Darry sees the tailgating Chevy and the driver hurling what looks like two corpses rolled up in sheets down a pipe. The creeper notices the kids watching him and begins chasing them in his truck while Trish tries to use Darry's phone to call the police, but it's flat. He catches up and begins smashing into the back of Trish's Impala while Darry says that they should have taken his car instead. The creeper runs the pair off the road but just continues on his way as he's only trying to frighten them. After the terrified kids gather themselves, Darry insists that they go back to the church and check for any survivors. Trish would rather call the cops, but her words about being selfish has gotten to Darry, who guilt trips her by saying what if they find out later they could have saved a life. They head back to the church and see that it's covered with crows, and upon reaching the pipe smell a foul odor emitting from inside. Unable to see the bottom, Darry climbs in against the smarter sibling's wishes and makes Trish hold his feet. A rat ascending the pipe makes Darry kick his legs, causing Trish to let go, and he falls into the creeper's lair. When he recovers, Darry uses his sleeve to bind a cut on his palm and sees a bloody sheet that clearly contains a human body. He pokes at it but is suddenly grabbed by the still living victim, so Darry rips open the sheet to find a boy unable to speak and has had his stomach opened up and sewn back together. When Darry tries to hear what the mumbling man's saying, he dies, leaving Trish to go to the road and flag someone down while Darry searches for a way out. He locates more bodies in sheets and a workshop fitted with embalming fluid and a wooden engraving of a winged demon. The walls and ceiling are lined with hundreds of human corpses, two of which are holding hands and sewn together in the corner. Darry notices that the woman's head's sewn on and they possess class rings just like the missing couple from 23 years earlier. Meanwhile, Trish is on lookout and has a close call when headlights approaching turn out to belong to just some random farmer and not the creeper. Darry returns having found a way out of the church basement, but he's horrified and unresponsive. On their way to the nearest telephone, Darry blabbers about the story of the missing students being true, but that the creeper just sewed the girl's head back on. They pull into a diner to call the police and see the creepy man heading back to the church. They run inside to warn the townspeople, but everyone just sits there calmly as the waitress goes to call the cops. The siblings then get their own call from a psychic named Jezelle, who describes Darry's torn shirt, bloody hand and rose tattoo to prove that she's the real deal. She asks if they've seen the cats yet and seems to know everything about the creeper and his house of nightmares. She says that once he smells something he likes, he chases it to the ends of the earth, then plays the song Jeepers Creepers and tells Darry to run when he hears it again, but he just hangs up. It's dark by the time the police arrive and Darry tells them everything he saw, including the two missing students from the story. The officers struggle to believe him since the students went missing 23 years ago, and Darry says that their corpses looked fresh. Just then the waitress comes over to let the kids know that their car's been ransacked and she saw some guy sniffing their clothing and enjoyed it. The creeper also knows Darry's name from his underwear and left an ashy handprint on the door handle, as a shadow flies over Trish's head, but she looks up to see only sky. The police decide to escort Darry and Trish to the station when they receive a call from officers sent to the church that it's been found set on fire, and the remains on the car handle was ancient dead skin. Darry and Trish are questioning how the creeper was able to get back to the church so quickly when the Jeepers Creepers song comes on the radio. Suddenly the flying creeper lands on the police cruiser behind the two bickering siblings, who fail to notice the officers get killed until a severed head lands on their windshield. They come to a grinding halt, unsure of what they even just witnessed, and get out of the car to check on the officers, but see the cop's severed head as the creeper exits the driver's seat whistling the Jeepers Creepers song. Both return to the car and watch as Jeepers begins eating the tongue from the head, then chucks the rest of the officers into the back of the Chevy for later and goes after the kids. They assume he returns to the church and pull up at the nearest house to take the opportunity to call for help. They're greeted by an old lady who doesn't own a phone nor want the kids to call the police, as they'll take away her army of cats. Darry tries to get his sister to go when Trish mentions the cops have been killed, but the lady's still just more concerned with her feline friends. She asks if they brought someone else with them as the siblings turn to see the creeper standing in front of the scarecrow. The old woman comes out shouting threats at the creeper to get out of her garden and fires off her shotgun, but he avoids it. He breaks inside of the lady's house through the roof, so she runs inside to defend her kitties and begins firing off shots. When the house falls silent, the old lady approaches the door again when the creeper reveals himself to be propping her up. Darry and Trish run to their car, but the creeper jumps on the hood, so they try to reverse the athletic demon off. Trish then tries to run him over, but the creep continues to leap over the roof until she stops and decides to wait for him to approach. When he's close enough to them, she accelerates, running him over, before double-tapping him until Darry stops her, as he's obviously dead by now. They watch as the dusty roadkill suddenly sprouts wings and tries fly away, so Trish crushes him one final time before going to the police station the officers would have taken them to had they not been turned into furniture. Once there, Trish calls their parents to confirm that they're okay, while Darry looks over the town's board of missing people. All of a sudden, Jezelle enters, ranting about the bodies in the cellar and the woman's cats, as she apparently dreamt about all of it. Darry recognizes her voice from the phone earlier and hears from her the creeper's ritual of returning every 23 years to feed. He scares people as fear tells him if they possess something he wants, and eats body parts like lungs to breathe and eyes to see. He must smell something that he likes on the siblings, because the psychic had a vision of one of them being killed but couldn't tell which one. She could only hear their screams and an old gramophone playing the Jeepers Creepers song. Meanwhile, the truck pulls up outside and the one-legged creeper exits, as all he needs is to eat another to recover. The lights switch over to the emergencies, so an officer goes to check on the prisoners to find a terrified group huddled to one side. On the other squats the naked creeper, who's already eating a man's leg and has recovered his own completely. The cop tries to shoot it, but the creeper kills him and the alarm goes off, putting all officers on high alert. Trish and Darry are still confused how the creep survived, but Jezelle says that he's eaten too many hearts for his own to even stop. When police try to hide the pair in a room, Jezelle insists that the creeper will just sniff them out anyway. Officers are called away to the stairwell where the creeper was spotted heading up to their floor. We hear that the cops below were unable to take him down, as it seems like he's wearing some kind of body armor. A single cop goes to check it out, but when he turns around, the fast-moving creeper rips out his heart and ascends the stairs after his target. All officers begin shooting as Jezelle tries to lead Trish and Darry outside, but they reach a locked door. The three begin arguing about the outcome of Jezelle's dream when she admits to the siblings that the screaming she heard was Trish's. Darry asks if her visions are ever wrong, but Jez's silence answers his question, when the creeper pops out from around the corner and rushes them. Trish and Darry run up a set of stairs as Jez collapses to her knees and prays. But the creeper doesn't smell anything he wants from her and goes after his original target. He locates the two hiding inside an interrogation room and smells Trish through a two-way mirror before smashing down the door. The creeper closely smells both Trish and Darry, then tosses the sister aside as it's actually the brother that he wants. The surviving police arrive only to be told by Trish not to fire as he's using Darry to shield their bullets. The bat-like creature exposes his wings and shrieks as Trish tries to convince it to take her instead of her brother, but the creeper denies her request and flies out the window, never to be seen by her again. The next day, Trish wants to know what else Jezelle saw, but she replies that she's just a crazy old woman, as no one will see the creeper for the next 23 years anyways. As she walks out of the police station, Trish sees a crow that we follow from the church hideout all the way to an old factory. We hear Darry screaming in the background as an old phonograph plays the Jeepers Creepers song. The creeper removes Darry's eyeballs to replace his own decades-old hazy ones and goes into hibernation. And the movie ends.